we're back on the candy cart. So last episode we built the roll cage, and now we're doing the CV axles. Only downside to this suspension style is you need a lot of plunge in your CV. These CVs only have plunge on the inboard side. So what that means is the way we have this jack set up, this is the max travel we can get out of that CV. Now we could lower our jack shaft. Only problem with that is we're going to hang our sprocket lower than the chassis, and I don't want to do that because then we're having to build a skid plate to protect that, and we're going to have to worry about the chain getting into the chassis as well. So, and it would be a lot nicer if I just had some CVs that plunged on both sides. That would literally get us out of this predicament. We are going to upgrade tire sizes to 26s. And these are 22s, I think. So we're going to get ground clearance from that. So what we're going to have to do is basically drop the suspension literally like an inch. So we're going to cut the upper shock tabs off, and we're going to remake some new ones that are like 1 inch longer. So that'll make up for this. So this right here is completely doable. If we spin it, we get no binding whatsoever. And the moment it's going to be down at max droop is, you know, not often. It's like if you're jumping it, if you're flexed out, this will be good. So Dave is working on the extension piece on the lathe to extend these axles, these CVs. Then we can do like a quadruple pass through them puppies. And then I'm going to make some new tabs that are just an inch longer or so. So let's get to it.
A few moments later.
Alright, so I made this rear bracket out of 1/8 inch flat stock. Normally I make all my brake brackets out of 1/4 inch just so they have strength because they are brake brackets. But I end up boxing this one in and making it kind of look like a solid piece. So that looks really good. Now I can bolt this to this spot right here. What we just welded, what I just shown was the rear mount. And it'll take the bulk of the strength, and that'll lay just like that. I can weld this edge right there with the MIG welder, and then our brake bracket will be done. Now I can trim this bolt to size, put a lock nut or lock washer on both of them, and we have our brake mounted up. Looks really nice. We can still get to everything, so we got to make sure we can get these bearings out for this this little stub axle. Spool, whatever you want to call it. So now we have the brake caliper also has the e-brake feature on it, which is super handy. So I actually have an e-brake on this. So I'll get that welded, and we can start putting the chain on. We got a new 530 chain, which is what like 4-wheelers and stuff use. We can get the chain cut to size, tighten down the diff, and then we can get the engine put on. Okay, so we are ready to put the chain on. This takes 530 chain, which is like you'd see on a dirt bike. I've got some of this O-ring chain, which I've actually never used the O-ring chain, but they say it's better. So I welded out the sprocket, adapter that Dave made on the lathe. He took all the original sprockets, bored them out, and we TIG welded the sprocket on. Only downside of this is when we wear out a sprocket, we got to machine this sprocket off on the lathe and slide a new one on, which is very aggravating, but you know, it is what it is. That looks about perfect, so this is the one we're going to be taking off. And we have Go Power Sports Deluxe chain brake. This is our big daddy one for like if you're using 530 chain and stuff. So this one's pretty beefy, and we haven't actually used this much because we don't use 530 chain. I'll tell you, these things are something to keep in your toolbox, that's for sure. We always take one while we're riding as well. Big link to be pushing out there, big pin. There we go. We can get the chain put on, we can get the diff tightened up. I have ordered some push-pull cables with 1/4-inch ends for our shifter. They're going to take a week or so to get here. They was $200 for 2 push-pull cables, but we gotta have a shifter, so there we go. So the goal is to get this diff tightened up, locked down in place. Then we can set our engine on and find out our belt size. Hopefully I have it. If not, we'll have to order it. They're only 40 bucks. It's not a big deal, but I just, hopefully we're not waiting a week on a belt to get here. Then we got to mount. Go Power Sports has these 150, I think these are 2 1/4 gallon tanks. We're gonna do double saddlebag tanks, one on each side. So one's a reserve. I think that'll be pretty smart because the trail we last went on, we was riding for hours at a time. So I think that'd be pretty smart having a full reserve tank. The battery, I think I'm gonna locate down here on the swing arm. There's a few things I have to fully weld. I missed some stuff, like this bar here is only half welded. These bars where they meet the chassis is only half welded. So I've got to get that done. But we'll get the engine on. We got the shifter put in. That a player shifter, will show you it in a minute. And we're waiting on, like I said, the push-pull cables. We can just tidy up a bunch of little loose ends and I can start wiring it after this. So, and we have a video coming out where we built the 625. I did Vegas Kart's billet rod, ported the head, and port match the intake and exhaust, so it should flow really good. I didn't oversize the ports, I just cleaned up the rough edges and whatnot. So have that video coming out very soon. So what we're gonna do is take our master link, slide on 2 O-rings, slide that on from the back side. Now we can slide on 2 more O-rings. We have our master link side. This is probably going to be a pain, I bet. Maybe not. Okay, so you want your master link in, we've told this 1,000 times, trailing. So the open end, if your chain's moving like this, moving clockwise, we want the open end pointed back. So, it wasn't bad. Now we will have to keep an extra master link. It'd be smart to get us another one.
You want me to take this back?
Yes, please, ma'am. Bam.
I'm so excited for her to ride this. To have this.
This sweet go-kart. Alright, so it's in reverse right now. No popping or binding of the chain. Okay, so next I can finish up the mount. I've taken this piece of 1/8 inch, 1 1/4 wide flat stock, notched it. So this will go on each side, just like so, and be welded into place. And that'll be for these ears to set on, and I'll drill holes through. These take rubber grommets too, to isolate it, and I do not have those. I need to order another tank, 2 lids, 2 petcocks, and 8 rubber grommets. But we can use this to mock up both sides and then mount it on one side. So we're just a couple busy little worker bees. We got Dave over there making the bearing housings. Don't look at the camera, Dave. Just keep doing for the diesel deuce, because we haven't touched that thing in 7 freaking years. So he's making the bearing flanges like we used on the Harley buggy, and we're gonna do A-arms on the rear vent. So that'll be for another video. But that's what he's doing. On Aubrey's go-kart, there's not a lot of support in this engine cradle. I'll flip the camera around and show you. I'm worried about flex with it. Big damn face. Alright, so like I was saying, this cradle right here, there's only 4 connection points. So up there and back here. And we're going to add some slant pieces back here, but I haven't decided how yet, like how I want to. So I've taken this, notched it, did like a double notch on this side. So this piece is going to triangulate from the chassis down to this and beef that up tremendously. And we're following like dead center of that engine plate. So I'm going to weld these on both sides. That'll strengthen this area quite a bit. And then I want to also, I don't know if I'll do it right now, but at least before powder coat, I'm going to hook this to this as well. I just want it real good and beefy. I don't want us to have any problems, but we got that 530 chain on there. Once I weld these in, I think we're good to put the engine on. We got those mounts on each side, so we can run dual. Those gas tanks are 2 1/4 gallons. Go Power Sports has them. The petcocks for them, the lids and everything. We'll link those down below. So we'll get these welded in, and then we can start setting the engine on, building the exhaust, getting everything buttoned up on this. I'm pretty excited to ride this thing. I think it's going to be a sick little buggy.
Jeepers, mister, you're really strong.
All right, so I didn't have any flat stock big enough, so I had to take 3 pieces of 1 1/4 flat stock and make these 3 different pieces. Normally I would have taken a piece of plate, put it in the brake and bent these, but we got us an exhaust hanger. So we can now put on the header that we made, and you might be hearing the sleet and hailing outside. We're getting a winter storm. So there's our exhaust on there. All right, so I went and trimmed this bracket a little bit just to make it look a little bit more sleek. But you can see how I grabbed the bottom valve cover bolts, and this is all 1/8 inch thick, super strong, just to give it a support. So when we're bouncing this thing around, the muffler isn't knocking around. Now, when we rode at Turkey Bay last, Chris from Rotherby Welding was in front of us, and his exhaust was pointed straight towards the back, and it drove us insane because it was blowing fumes right into our buggy's cabin. So we made sure to angle this sideways. I'm sure my supercharged buggy would be the same way. It's going to blow fumes right in people's faces that are behind us. So we angled this to the side. We've ran a Go Power Sports has these 34 millimeter true Makunis. They are a Makuni dealer, and they have these intake necks for big blocks, and the big block ones will work on these 625s as long as you port them up a little bit. We put a pulse pump on this, and we are running a vacuum controlled petcock because it's all I had. But Go Power Sports sells two different styles of these. This is the one like a 150 go-kart will come with. It's kind of like a safety. If the engine shuts off, the petcock automatically shuts off. It's a pretty cool feature. But I'm going to switch these out when they get here to the standard petcock style. But you can find links for this style, the standard turn-off style, these gas tanks, as well as these lids. And I highly recommend these gas tanks. They're affordable and they hold a lot of gas, and they're really easy to mount. So make sure to check out those links for that. This carb, the exhaust, we're running a baffled catch can. These 625s have a vent port that's on the head right here. It's pretty cool, and it runs down to this box, and I'm pretty sure this has some of that mesh in there to keep oil from sloshing. So we put that catch can right there on the engine. Now we are running a Polaris Razor 1000 pulley on this. We have a video showing how to install one of these on these engines. And the only reason why is that's going to match up with our Polaris bottom pulley. And we're using actually a Comet belt from a Deuce on this. It worked out actually pretty good. So exhaust is all buttoned up. Fuel is all there. We haven't tested it yet, but we got the vacuum teed off. These Go Power Sports intakes have a barb that you can put in them, and we got it teed off running the pulse pump as well as running down to work that Go Power Sports petcock. Now we haven't got our other gas tank in yet, but I do like the fact that we're going to have two gas tanks on this thing, just double saddle bags. And I got to finish wiring everything. We finally got our push-pull cables in. These things was $95 a piece because of their length. They had to be custom made, but they're all stainless marine grade. They'll run from that Polaris shifter to the ears on the differential. So I will have to make some sort of bracket to hold the housings of those cables lined up. We pieced together two Go Power Sports throttle cables. The one coming from the pedal is a Manco style, and then we ran it into this hobby box, they're called. They're waterproof boxes with these little ferrules in each side, and the cables are connected inside because a Makuni carb has a very small nipple that you have to have, and nobody offers a cable long enough for something like this. This would be like, I don't know, a 120 inch cable probably. So I took two Go Power Sports, a mini bike Makuni cable, and then their Manco cable you can see is hooked up to the pedal up there, and just put the two together so we have a throttle cable long enough. So guys, let us know what you think about this go-kart build. On the next episode, we will be driving this thing. These cables came in a little too late to finish it off for this video. But make sure to check out the links in the video description. We have those gas tanks, petcocks. These trailing arms are from Go Power Sports. We only modified them with Heim joints, so we have adjustability. But these are really like well-made trailing arms, and the CV axles, the spool, everything, Go Power Sports has these. I don't know if they're in stock right now, but I'm going to try to see if Go Power Sports can stock them for people that don't want to fabricate a lot. You could use this whole rear end kit, shocks and all, and have a pretty sweet independent rear suspension on a buggy. Again, guys, make sure to check out those links in the video's description. They do help us to continue to do these videos. Go Power Sports has a ton of stuff. We're making a very capable buggy with a bunch of go-kart parts, and we're going to show you guys that you don't have to have like a huge crazy 100 horsepower engine to have a lot of fun. This engine's probably going to produce probably somewhere around 30, maybe a hair bit over 30 horsepower, and probably right around 40 foot-pounds of torque with the modifications we've done to the engine. And that's going to be an insane amount of fun, and we'll prove it to you guys. And we're also going to take it to Turkey Bay and show you guys how, or maybe even Windrock, and show you guys how capable it is having a go-kart style side-by-side. I'm pretty excited about this one. So make sure to check out those links. They help us out a ton. If you use those, Go Power Sports, like I said, has everything to help you build a pretty decent little side-by-side. So make sure to check out those links. Support your boy, and we'll keep on rolling out the videos. Next episode, we will be riding this thing, so stay tuned, guys. We love you, and God bless.